and gentlemen, and welcome back to a new episode of Chatting with Lady C. Hello, Mum, how are you?
I'm well, thank you, Misha. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Good. So, shall we plunge in?
Yeah, let's do it. So, for our first question today is from Jamaica Girl. I see in the Times obituary that Jamaica's first billionaire, Butch Stewart, just died. Did you know him, and if so, what was he like, and what do you attribute to his success?
Actually, I did know Butch. I've known Butch pretty much all my life. His first cousin, Pam Stewart, was married to Mummy's first cousin, John Burke. Remember that fabulous house on the North Shore in Grand Cayman?
Mm-hmm.
That's John and Pam's house. Butch also, my father was one of the people who encouraged Butch in the early days to start out. He was married to Erica Sturrock, whose father owned Curacao Trading Company, and he worked with his father-in-law, and he saw a gap in the market for creating a business with supplying people with air conditioners. This is in the 1960s, and most people's houses didn't have a huge air conditioning unit. You had several different units. And Butch saw the opportunity, bought air conditioning units, and went into business on his own. So anything that went wrong, I'd have to phone him up. Butch, can you please come and sort it out? And he always came. I would say one of the cardinal reasons why he was such a success was he had a can-do, will-do, nothing's too much trouble, it's really good to see you attitude. He was very obliging. He was very willing to help. He was very willing to go the extra mile. Nothing was ever too much trouble. He just had a wonderful attitude. And it meant that people liked dealing with him. Also, he had vision and he had ambition, because from moving from his father-in-law's business into his own air conditioning business, then he bought a hotel, which really wasn't doing very well. I think this would have been in the early 80s, when Jamaica was really tanked. I mean, the Jamaica tourist industry was absolutely at the bottom of the pile, because there had been so many political problems in the 70s, and Michael Manley had encouraged a lot of the Jamaicans to be rude to their guests. He encouraged waiters to be surly. Well, nobody is going to visit a place to be insulted. But anyway, when he was out of power, Butch, if I remember correctly, and I'm pretty sure I'm right, bought his first hotel in about 1982. And he had this great idea that it would be for couples as opposed to for one person, and that everything would be included, and that, you could drink as much as you wanted, you could eat as much as you wanted, and it wasn't going to be rubbish food and rubbish drink, but good food and good drink. It was just wonderful hospitality. And that's how he started. And then his first wife, Erica, also was the widow of Ian and Maxie and the Hamiltons, Alec Hamilton's widow. So, as with everybody in Jamaica, everybody knows everybody else, and everybody's somehow interconnected to everybody else. He was a great guy. I understand that he didn't want anybody to know he was ill. He had cancer, and he didn't want anybody to know that he was ill. And not even all of his ex-wives knew that he was dying, and then he died very quickly. I think that was partly also to make sure that there was an orderly transition in the company and that the price of the shares wouldn't be affected, etc. So, yes, I did know Butch. I hope that answers the question. Do you think he sounds interesting?
Yeah.
You do?
Mm.
Do you think you would have liked him?
You can only judge when you meet the person.
True, true.
Because you can hear wonderful stories about the person, but you might. That's from people. Until you meet the person, you judge them yourself.
They say he was Jamaica's Richard Branson. He wasn't. He wasn't. Oh, Richard Branson had a brashness. Oh, that Butch didn't have. Butch had a buccaneerish charm. He was great. He was a great guy.
That's nice.
Next question, Harry.
So for our next question, it's a two-part question. So it's similar question, but by two different people that we're just going to share at the same time, so we get them both out of the way. So the first part of the question is from Lynn Howden. Lady C, what do you think of Sussexes' newest claim that they will not be using social media anymore because it provides a platform for bullying? They say they are going to approach Silicon Valley bigwigs to do something about it. So in other words, too many people are able to voice negative opinions of them. They don't like it, and they are having a fit because they can't control it. Heaven knows the whole world should change because they're not happy. So for the second part is from John Curry. See today, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are going to stop using social media due to its hatred shown to them online. The arrogance of these two is astonishing. Did they really believe they could turn their backs on the Queen, country, and Commonwealth and then say the reason why because all Brits are racist? Of course people have turned against them. People are worried about health, their families, their jobs, and all these two go on about is themselves and how badly they are treated. Disgraceful behaviour.
Well, I don't think anybody can say it better than they've said it.
Yes.
It's wonderful, isn't it?
It is.
Oh, gosh. Well, Harry and Meghan are victims. They're great victims. Well, I actually think they have taken a very wise decision. You see, they are players, and she's a player. She's also a gambler, and she's gambled. And it's not quite worked out the way she had hoped it would. But she's still behind the scenes tugging and pulling and pushing and maneuvering and trying to, turn their profile into an outstanding success where they will be the Duke and Duchess of the universe and they will be the great humanitarians and everybody will think they're wonderful and marvellous. And they will, so I think they've taken actually the right decision in pulling back because they are undoubtedly overexposed. Don't you think they're overexposed?
I do.
I mean, it's their own fault because every few days they are bobbing up with
New thing.
something new. And Joe for vote, Joe, you gotta vote for Joe. Oh, not that I'm telling you to vote for anybody, but you gotta vote for Joe. You can't vote for Trump, you gotta vote for Joe. Not that we have anything to do with politics. No, we're complete innocents. I mean, the hypocrisy. And I think Mr. Curry's absolutely right as well, They stuck two fingers up to the British people. They blamed us for being racist. I mean, when, the fact that people don't like her has absolutely nothing whatsoever, and they no longer like him, has absolutely nothing to do with her colour, but all to do with her character and their performance. I think a good tactical retreat and keeping out of the public eye for a little while will behoove them very well. And I think it will do wonders for their image, if only because they will give people a break. And maybe if they come back with a bit more humility, which I have to say I don't see happening, but still, uh, you know, their rarity value, if they are very occasionally in the public eye, might actually do them a really great deal of good. Also, there are, of course, behind the scenes, uh, you know, the royal family is trying to find a way forward with them where they can function in America earning the shed loads of money that she requires that they earn because she's a great humanitarian who only cares about people. And God forbid that she should care about money. She doesn't care about money, but just give me them hundreds of millions. And yeah, I think it's a very wise move. And let's see if they can keep it up. Because what I suspect might well happen is that they will then be making approaches as they have been doing through other people, through other entities, and encouraging people to post. Oh, Harry and Meghan made a contribution to my cause. They're so wonderfully kind and generous. They gave us $50, but you're not allowed to say that they gave anything, so people will think that they gave $500,000. And I think that is going to continue. They will be drip feeding information about themselves. But I think they have begged for it, they've got it, and what people don't like is them. It's as simple as that. People don't like them. People find them hypocritical, arrogant, impertinent, annoying, unfair, and maybe with a tactical retreat, and if they can learn their lessons, because he was very popular before her. Let's remember that. It's his markled personality that people can't stand. Pre-Meghan, everybody liked him. And, maybe if he'd stop listening to her and she'd start listening to him, or to listen to what he was about before, maybe there's a way forward for them in terms of popularity. Let's see. But believe me, I don't think this is the last we've heard of them. Do you?
No, not at all.
No. I think they will be bobbing up like the proverbial bad penny every few days with some new move, because what they are really is denialists, Oh, no, I'm very honest. Oh, no, I'm very honest. Now, why is your hand so deep in my pocket? That's the sort of game they play. Complete refutation of their every single action. It's pure denial. So let's see. Next question, honey.
So for our next question is from Michelle. Hello to Lady C and Misha from Australia. I thoroughly enjoy your channel. Do you think Meghan and Harry left the RF of their own choosing, or were they kicked out?
Well, I suppose this is going to be the swan song of the Sussexes, because since they're not going to be in the news anymore, maybe we'll have the space to deal with other things after this. God willing. No, I do not think that they were kicked out. I think that they went of their own accord. In fact, I know as a fact that they went of their own accord. I know as a fact that the royal family was extremely distressed because the royal family didn't know what they had up their sleeve. You know, Meghan did the Rachel Zane thing of slap him once, slap him twice, and slap him again. I'm gonna show you who's boss. And, you know, she wrong-footed them, and he went along with it. And the royal family had absolutely no idea that this was coming. So no, they were not shoved. They jumped of their own accord. And my own take on it is that Meghan never intended, ever, to be a fully paid up member of the British royal family. She never intended to be subsumed in the British royal family. She doesn't do subservience. She's too full of herself to be subservient. She, you know, to be royal, you have to be self-abnegating. You have to surrender yourself to a greater cause. There's no greater cause in Meghan Markle's book than Meghan Markle. So there was no prospect ever of her being a success, really, because she wasn't prepared to do the basics that require you to be a success. She doesn't have the modesty. She doesn't have the self-sacrificing nature. She doesn't have the generosity of spirit. What she has is a hustler's mentality. She is a businesswoman. She is a player. She is, I don't see why I shouldn't get what I want. It's my just desserts. I've earned it and I'm gonna get it. Well, that's all very good and well if you're in business or if you're a hustler. But it's not good if you're a royal, because it doesn't work as a royal. Because you're everything, you know, Meghan is the sort of person who knows the price of everything and the value of nothing. And everything is priced. I mean, you only need to read that ghastly book that amid scabies and Caroline Durand puked out for our benefit. You know, with the merchandising, the placement of this, that, the other, one product after the other, one, really all inconsequential names dropped one after the other, you know. They went to this tacky shop and they got this tacky piece of jewellery from this tacky jeweller, and they bought this tacky pair of shoes from these second-rate people and this tacky dress from this third-rate person. Tack, 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 tacky. Everything about them is tacky. And it shows even in their joint endeavour, that biography, which is almost an autobiography, because I'm sure her invisible pen is there all over it. And the fact is, as I said a little earlier, she knows the price of everything and the value of nothing. She gave up something that you can't buy with money to achieve what you can get from money and buy with money. She's a hustler. She's a hustler. She's a cheap, well, actually, no, not so cheap, but she is a vulgar hustler, and she's flagrant about it. And I think that's it in a nutshell.
I don't understand why you would want to marry someone or be with that person to actually just completely go and do your own thing. So basically, she's basically married somebody knowing what her attention should have been, but she really knew what she wanted to do already and got him out of it. So why did you marry somebody that you didn't want to have his life? Why didn't you just find somebody that would have accepted to have your same life as you?
Because that was the best game in town and she needed a plate for all it was worth. Had she had a choice between Jeff Bezos and Harry Wales, I can tell you something. Lawrence Sanchez wouldn't be anywhere near Jeff Bezos today. So, it's, in my opinion, it is nothing more than, well, George Bernard Shaw had a famous encounter with the Duchess. And more than that I will not say, except that to those of you who know the encounter between George Bernard Shaw and the Duchess, in fact, I will say it. George Bernard Shaw said to the Duchess, would you marry a poor man if you loved him? And she said, well, and he said, no, really poor man, if you loved him, would you marry him? Or would you marry a duke instead? She said, well, of course I'd marry a duke instead. He said, would you take £10 for your company from a poor man or a duke? Oh, no, she said, what do you take me for? He said, madam, we have already established the fact. We are simply haggling over the price. And I hate to say, but people who put too great a monetary value upon their person and their personal exchanges are basically saying, they basically have a for sale sign up. And they're basically saying, I am for sale to the highest bidder. Now, it's not immoral in certain ways, but is it commendable? Well, I mean, I don't think so. Next question, honey.
Nice. So for our final question today is from Terry Starr. William has had his future set from birth. There are life choices he never had to make because his path was set. A gilded cage, but still a cage. So sad that Harry has pushed to co-op Diana's memory because she was just as much William's. William is forced to play a long game and conduct himself with dignity, while Ginger can get away with practically anything. In this scenario, who is thriving and who is surviving?
Well, that I think is actually a fundamental question that goes to the core of many philosophical questions. You see, Meghan is on record as having said, life isn't about surviving, it's about thriving. I would say, life isn't about thriving. Life is about surviving and surviving well. And if you then thrive some of the time, you are doing very well indeed. The difference is obvious, I would imagine. But in case it's not that obvious, I will articulate what the difference is. Especially if you are a royal or an aristocrat, or in any way you have benefited from an inheritance, and you have a tradition that you are a part of and that you are expected to hand on into the next generation and into the future. Survival is fundamental. If you are opportunistic, if you are exploitative, if you milk the situation shades of Meghan Markle. I'm here to thrive. Just gimme, 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 gimme. Let me, I want everything. Go on, go on. Why shouldn't I milk the situation for all it's worth? You get people's backs up. You are bound at some point, if you do it enough, to trip yourself up. And this is something people have picked up about her. Also, if everybody in the royal circle or the aristocratic world or the world of inherited wealth milked their position for all it's worth to go from having and being worth 40 or 50 million to fulfilling your greed, and we are speaking about greed, your greed so that you end up being worth hundreds of millions or billions. This is greed. You are going to antagonize, if enough members of your class do it, you are going to trigger a tremendous amount of hostility from people who do not have those advantages. So you are actually undermining the very fabric of your civilization, and you are undermining the very existence of your world. And this is what Meghan and Harry are doing. This is the danger in their actions. William's life is to a large extent prescribed and proscribed. Well, there are worse things in life than being a king. I mean, it's not necessarily the easiest thing to be, but you know, if it is your destiny, embrace it. I mean, each of us has a destiny that to an extent we do not want to embrace, I would imagine. Certainly, I had a destiny I would have much rather not embracing. And I would imagine most people don't want to embrace all of their destiny. Wouldn't you say that's true?
Yes, because in your path there might be something that you fulfilled and you might be like, okay, that I don't really need anymore. So yeah, it does change.
Yeah. And you know, but so to be exploitative and to be so flagrantly greedy, and you know that it's okay to give up a position of service where you could have done good for possibly hundreds of millions of people to earn yourself hundreds of millions of dollars. Tacky, tacky, tacky. And I think ultimately William will thrive, because it's been my experience that when you embrace your destiny and you fulfill it, even those parts of it that you would much rather you didn't have to fulfill, but there is a satisfaction in fulfilling your duty that I cannot imagine that there is from stuffing your bank account. So I think that's it. What do you think?
Well, I agree with you on a certain thing. It's like getting yourself a present. Like as soon as you get that little present, you're like, oh, I can wait until I get the next one. It's like if you get like the PlayStation 5 at the moment, like everybody wants it, everyone wants it. So as soon as you get it, you're like, oh, I can lay back on the next thing I want for a while because I'm happy because I've got this now. That's how I see it. It's like really helping yourself get a present.
But some people, I mean, I hope I brought you children up with the philosophy that enough is enough, that you shouldn't want everything and shouldn't hope to have everything and shouldn't expect to have everything, that it's good to have enough. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm saying that exactly.
Yeah.
But I mean, because I have a limit.
Yes.
If they don't have a limit, well, then they have the right to go a little bit wild, I think, as well.
Yes, they do.
I
They
think
do. But
like,
it's not very productive, is it?
Well, it's
Well,
productive for them.
well, sorry, you're quite right. It's productive in terms of earning money, but how productive is it in terms of the more important things in life?
Mm. But again, they can't just be the two of them to do everything. But they think they can, but they can't, and they're not doing it in the right ways.
Mm.
Not at all.
Well, let's see what happens. Let's see what happens because I personally think that they are greedy
Mm.
and opportunistic
Mm.
and exploitative, and I think people have picked that up.
Mm.
I think,
That's why I'm saying that they're not
mm,
doing it in the right
yeah,
ways.
I think they're also sanctimonious and
Mm.
hypocritical, and I think they're full of the brown stuff.
Mm.
Absolutely
Like coming
full of
back
it.
onto that, exactly like I didn't like about how she could say that England is racist because I came to London back when I was 19. I thought it was the most un-racist place. It's not because you do racist jokes makes a person racist, because I think every country would do that against every culture. But England, already if you go down before when it was busy on Tottenham Court Road, I'm just going to say roughly a number, but there'll probably be one Englishman out of 50 people,
Mm,
because those
mm,
10 boys would probably be from Spain on holiday. Those 5 girls would be probably from Africa,
mm,
and every so one person out of 50 I could believe could be English
mm.
in central London. So I don't see how it can be that racist when we've got one of the biggest multicultural countries in the world.
Well, I
And we
agree.
and there's so many different cultures here. Like when I first came here, I didn't make friends first with English boys. I made friends with Jamaicans, then I would say probably Spanish, and then English came third, I would say, and that
Mm,
was a few months being here.
mm, 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 mm,
So I don't see how she could say that. And I wasn't mixing with posh people like her. She
mm,
would have been around very high sophisticated people.
mm,
Well, I just came and just tried to make a friend, so I
mm.
didn't care who I was with.
Well, I don't think that she had, and I think her agenda always was uh, to move in, scoop up,
Mm,
move out, and exploit. She is
yeah.
an exploitative personality, and she is milking the situation for all it's worth. But I think they have also taken advice, and they are plotting their next move. The problem with being so manipulative and devious and covert and plotting one plot to the next and
Mm,
is that people begin to think, I don't trust these people.
mm.
They think, oh gosh, what else are they going to pull off now?
Well, like me at the beginning, I had really nothing bad to say to them. It was a fresh relationship. We were seeing how it was going. She was comporting herself how she was. And now, like, then it just started every day saying something nasty about somebody, or saying she's a better person than this, and then you're just like, well, she's not actually a very nice person, is she? And so you just like, no, I don't like her anymore.
Mm,
Because, like, again, you can't judge somebody the first time or by other people's words. You have to actually judge it from yourself. So either doing your research and seeing her every day on TV, so you get to see how she acts, and then you just make your own opinion.
mm,
So my
mm,
opinion changed after a few months, because I
mm,
actually liked her until I didn't like her.
mm. Well, I liked her at first too.
Mm.
And I'm still not blind to her virtues because she has virtues. you know. It's just that her greatest failing is herself. And on that note, I will say thank you very much. Keep the questions coming in, and I look forward to seeing you again.
Well, thank you everybody, and we hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you did, hit the like button, subscribe, and share with your friends. Thank you very much, and goodbye.